Hello, everyone, and welcome to Four Lads Friday Night Live. Thank you for joining us here on the Four Lads Network. I am joined by two of my very favourites, Calvin and Sheryl. Good evening, folks. How are we?
Yeah, good, thank you. All good, all good. Happy after that performance in midweek, and looking forward to tomorrow.
Calvin, you good?
Same here, mate. No complaints. Still buzzing off the other night. It was good to see us playing some good attacking football and two wingers in the park, so it's not to enjoy.
Yeah, well, listen, let's actually ask you both about the other night because you haven't been on since. Sheryl, what did you make of our midweek exploits and the overall kind of performance and your thoughts away from it?
Do you know what? I was just absolutely delighted, Stevie, that he made the changes that he was threatening to make. Because I think we've heard that a few times from various different managers. I think he spoke so strongly after the game at Motherwell at the weekend that he would have looked really, really daft had he not come out and made those changes. And I think we've seen from the performance that he was right. He was right in what he said, and he was right in the changes that he made. And I think it was excellent. I know he mentioned the kind of drop off in the last 15 minutes, but I think overall it was a really, really good performance. I think there was a lot of promise for some of the relationships that we've seen, and I thought they were excellent. I know that obviously Pilsen are poor, but I think that they played really, really well. Yeah.
And Calvin, how did you enjoy Ibrox the other evening?
Yeah, it was great. Front attacking football, that's what we've been asking for. We managed to see Ant-Man come in, didn't really train with the team, and he was brilliant. I just thought he covered up ground so quickly, and that was interesting. It never looked like he was sprinting like wildly, but the ground that he covered up so fast was amazing to see. And I think it brought the best out in Gassama as well. It created space. Desser's movement was very good up front, and you seen for the goals, he was pulling defenders away. It allowed the wingers to come inside, have that wee bit of space, and the midfield joined in a lot better. I really enjoyed watching Lyle Cameron. I think he's going to be a real. I think we know what abilities he's got, but I thought after the first few kind of pre-season games, he's probably going to sit in the periphery. But I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. He could be somebody that comes into that team and becomes a mainstay. He's got all the talent to do it. It's just whether we sign anybody else that comes into that position. But I really enjoyed watching him. Thought technically really good. Attitude was amazing. Covered ground quickly. Wasn't fazed by the situation of playing a European game. Coming from Dundee, as I like to say, it's a bit more a full-time situation for him.
Yeah, a lot of positives in. Calvin, I'll stick with you just for a second, then I'm going to ask Sheryl because she slightly touched on it. But Russell Martin's comments on the lead up to the game, what did you think of this selection and what did you think of his comments on post-match after Motherwell?
I think it was fair because I walked out of Fir Park absolutely disgusted with the attitude of some of the players, and it was clear, like, they were expected to put in a performance, and you just seen Motherwell growing into that game, and the players kind of started to shy away from it. They weren't taking control of the ball. Their runs were ineffective. I felt a lot of players went hiding a wee bit, like we've seen many times before, and you could just see that the manager was coming frustrated. They weren't taking his instructions. They weren't doing their game plan that they've been told to do for so long. So I was glad when he made the comments, because I think if he waited 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks down the line, that then creates that situation where players feel like, well, we're in charge again. And how many times have we said there's been too many times it feels like the players control that dressing room and the managers they sell him out and hang him out to dry. So him putting that stamp down, I thought Souness said it very well. He had to do it early and he had to make his statement. And it had to be some of the bigger players that think they're the biggest and best in the club. Yes, they might be, but it's a new start for everybody, and you need to put your role in as well as anybody else does.
And Sheryl, you mentioned it slightly, Russell Martin's comments, just as we kind of wrap up the other night and look forward to the weekend. What did you make of them? And Calvin had obviously spoken about it there. Were you surprised by the team? What did you make of his comments?
I thought he spoke very honestly. It was a bit of a tricky one for him to kind of go that full on that early, but I think the fact that he backed it up by changing the team massively on Tuesday showed that he is serious. He was serious about what he said. He made those changes and it was the right call. It was 100% the right call. I think had Dowell started on Tuesday, I think we all would have lost the plot. I mean, that was one that he had to make, but he lasted the 90 minutes on Saturday, so I wasn't sure whether he was actually going to make that change obviously we had Ant-Man coming in and he did incredibly well, having just signed that week, and then come in and played the game, and he was hugely impressive. He made a massive difference just to have somebody down that right, a proper right winger that was linking up with Essers and giving us an option and balance as well. So it was a huge call to make, but I think it's won him a wee bit of credit back with the fans, because I think he kind of won a wee bit credit back with me for his words on the Saturday, but ultimately it was a kind of 50-50 thing for me, Stevie, because he was the one that put those players on the park. So had he not made the changes, there was no point in coming out and saying what he did, but he did. He made the changes. They absolutely bore fruit for us. And I think it's, like I say, won him a wee bit credit back with the fans.
He didn't need to win credit back for you though, Cheryl, does he? Because you've commented how handsome he is several times. So, and there was that very funny video, wasn't there, during the week by, is it DIGB, isn't it, the boy that on X who does it? And after the goals, it went to Russell Martin, and it was the "You're gorgeous" stuff. So I think that's, with regards to credit, I think you feel a wee bit like that, don't you?
You make me blush.
And he's won me over rapidly. He is a smooth guy, I must admit. But I thought that was quite funny. But I am, do you know what? I am pleased that finally somebody's had the balls, not only to call it out, because we've seen a few people call it out, and then you go to the next game and it's the same guys that have started all over again. He dropped the captain, he dropped our best player and award winner last year, he dropped our 9, and he dropped the guy that everybody said was going to be his favourite. So I think he made some ballsy kind of changes. But I think our old pal Greg Rudder, he says not to be negative, but tomorrow is the real test. I agree with him completely, because we've seen this team perform in Europe, and I understand that completely. So Dundee is the acid test. I watched a wee bit of Dundee against Hibs last week, and they were not impressive. Massively defensive. They sat in deep. Cheryl, we know a wee bit of the kind of team news tomorrow. Russell Martin has said that Max Aarons is fit. He's fine. That was just a wee knock. And he's also said that Telo Asgard and Hamza Egaman are back on the training pitch. They're back on the grass, but they're not ready for this game. Mikey Moore is also not registered as yet, still working through that. By the time he's registered, he'll be 18 anyway, which I think happens on Monday. So it's a bit of a nightmare scenario for us. But is there many changes to come tomorrow, and how would you like to see us go again against Dundee?
Do you know what? I wouldn't. I know there was chat on our kind of group chat and thinking about the agenda for tonight, maybe rotating Tav back in place of Aarons. Absolutely not for me, Stevie. We've already dropped 2 points. I think that we are, there's too many times last year where we've gone into games and maybe scraped a 1-0 win. We need to start with our best 11 on the pitch. We really do. We need to start. And maybe if we're 2-3 goals up, then you make your changes in the second half. I think we've already, unfortunately, early doors lost ground. And I think we need to gel as a team. So you always, for me, start with your best 11 and then make the changes as you go in. The only change I would maybe make is looking at Raskin for Rothwell. Other one I thought of maybe with, I know it's not as big a game because we're going with that 3-0 cushion, but maybe having a look at bringing Curtis back in for Gassama. But other than that, I would go with as close to the team that we had on Tuesday as possible.
And what about you, Calvin? What would you like to see ahead of tomorrow?
Yes, if everybody's fit and there's no knocks and there's no these kind of issues there, I would be just going the same team there. Let them build up their confidence as a team. Let them build up those relationships that you said. And it keeps that message going. These guys have earned the jersey. Let them play. Until somebody lets the side down, that's when you look at making changes. Out with suspensions, injuries, if you've got a winning team in the park, for me, you can't go changing players around for the sake of he's got a better reputation than him. If we make signings, then things can change. But the players played their heart out. You can see it meant a lot to them. They followed the instructions. They followed the game plan. They've earned the jerseys. And until they haven't put in that performance, the jersey's theirs. That's the way I would look at it. How many times have we seen a player just get put back in because they're the regular starter? The boys have earned their chance to be in the starting 11 tomorrow. And for me, they've got to be there again.
I have to say, I agree with both of you. Obviously, people have heard my kind of comments after the game from the match vlog, and then Kenny and I podded on Wednesday. I don't have any reason to change this. I thought there were so many positives. You're looking for stronger performances again within that. I thought that Lyle Cameron, the wingers, Giga, I don't think it's been mentioned on the show yet, was my man of the match. I watched the game back and I thought we were pretty resilient, pretty good all throughout. Possibly the last 20 minutes we dipped a wee bit, which is understandable, because I think that's where we need to have another couple extra wingers, Mikey Moore available and stuff, because these guys will put so much into it that we need that kind of rotation. But one of the biggest things to come away from the other night was obviously the situation with the team leaking. Now, I spoke about this on Wednesday on the pod with Kenny, that we addressed it with the club. So we spoke to the club, and the reason for doing that is because we didn't want to bring it up at a press conference, and then potentially you're giving it what we think maybe is more headlines than needed. The club were aware of it anyway. They would be pretty naive not to be, because it was all over the internet. Now, this isn't a new thing. This team has been getting leaked for a good while, and I think it was the first time it went very big and very viral in terms of it actually making some noise, because you normally get the team news. Russell Martin kind of played it down today. He says it was part of modern game. It's part of what happens. Players that are not playing tell agents, players that are playing tell agents, etc. That was exactly what I said on Wednesday. I've got no issue with, or let's rephrase that. I don't have an issue with certain players. I have an issue with getting out, because I feel that these things should come. But in this last few days, I've heard several players being blamed for it. And James Tavernier, Robbie Fraser, Ravi Matondo, Nico Raskin. It's not true. It's not true in the slightest. Teams play practice 11v11s. People are watching. Any reason could have went out. As far as I'm aware, the club are aware of how it went out, and they're quite happy and comfortable around that. So I thought that Russell Martin, Sheryl, handled it extremely well today. Downplayed it. He understands it, and to be honest, he didn't seem like he was that bothered. He says, "What's the difference if the opposition know our team 8 hours before, because they've already done all their analysis and things anyway." So it's not such a secret anymore. I suppose it would have been a massive secret if we had a big injury or things. I could understand that. But I thought, again, Russell Martin handled it very well and downplayed it pretty well.
Yeah, I think he said as well, he puts his team out very early. So there's always going to be kind of that side of things if he is putting his team out earlier. The only thing I did think was slightly interesting, I just listened to it before I came on tonight, was that he said that he had addressed it with the boys, and the view that he was willing to take on it was that it wasn't done out of malice, and it wasn't done to hurt any preparation or to hurt the team. So I thought that was quite interesting that he has obviously spoken to them about it. But like you say, Stevie, that it's come from elsewhere, and the club are quite satisfied with that. So yeah, I think he dealt with it very well. I think we're just in different times, really, aren't we? There's social media. Like, I don't know, 20 years ago, you were relying on things like newspapers or the news at 6 o'clock to give you team news. We're just in different times, and I think that's something that comes from it as well.
Calvin, we've been around long enough, I think, to know that team leaks happen. I honestly wasn't overly fussed or surprised by it. It did kind of go viral just because of the places it was posted. But again, same thing to Sheryl. I said it was 2 seconds ago. I'm quite happy with how Russell Martin handled that. He will have spoken to the staff and the players and things again to reiterate the importance that we keep things in-house. But it's not a bad thing for Russell Martin, again, to realise this early, that let's stamp this out, make sure we're all together. He handled it really well in the press, in my opinion. Probably a bigger story on the internet to people than it really is inside Rangers.
Yeah, I think it's just not one of those creating a culture things, like letting people know it's unacceptable, but as long as it's not come out of the dressing room for, I'm just going to use this as a bit of airtime to try and get one up on somebody else, that's fine. Obviously, things will come through agents and things like that as well. Agents are always typically mouthy on certain things, depending who they are. You get some agents that keep everything very close knit and they don't let anybody know anything, but you'll have other ones that want to put out whatever they want to put out. I don't know where it's came from, but you'd like to think it's probably came down that type of route. But as long as the players know it's unacceptable, don't let it happen again, especially into big games. If there's a big surprise change or something tactical they're working on, these are the type of things they want to try and keep in-house. Like, we were obviously, everybody was shocked at the Tav thing and their asking thing, but realistically it was coming. So probably that's why Martin maybe wasn't too concerned about it this time. But if you're going into an old firm and there's a massive change happening, that's when you might see a wee change of attitude. But right now, I think he dealt with it really well. and not laying down the marker with the players, letting them know what he's about and what he expects for them. So as long as the club have dealt with it, that's the most important thing for me.
Russell Martin also mentioned today, he was talking about player relationships, and goes back a wee bit to the team selection, Calvin, that we're talking about, like who he sees building relationships and things like that. And Sheryl, I'm going to ask you the exact same thing just in a second, but who have you been excited by early kind of, relationships on the pitch? Who are you seeing that you think? I've got one that immediately springs to mind, but I'm interested to see what you think.
Well, the front three the other night, I thought that was very, very interesting, just how fast Gassama and Antman linked up really well. I thought Dessers really joined in with them really, really well. He created space. He's always been known as that box player, doesn't tend to do his best work out of the box. His movement tends to be a bit more selfish towards into the box, but I just thought he created so much space for them. I thought the way that Cameron, Yefty and Gassama linked up the other night was very good, because Cameron could go inside, outside, regardless of where it went. That allowed Gassama to turn inside. Or when he did do those wee nice touches, it took him straight down the byline. And it did allow Yefty to go up the left-hand side. I thought that was very, very good to watch. And then the way Arns was just nicking passes through every single time into Antman, like the wee dinks over the side. His passing was brilliant. I thought accuracy, pace of the ball, it held up every single time. I thought it was really, really interesting. It worked. And surprisingly, DJ and Suter. DJ for me was a colossal the other night. And a few folk were sitting around on me for part, and they were like, this boy's got no pace at all. And I'm looking at it going, are you seeing how fast he's taking up the ground there? It's mental. The pace that he was showing to get back in the opposing players, I thought he was absolutely amazing. I've been really excited with him so far, and I think he's going to be major this season for us.
And Sheryl, who have you enjoyed seeing combination-wise early doors?
Do you know, just to touch on what Calvin said, for me it was Giga and Suter. I thought Suter looked far more. I thought Suter actually played very well. I was quite critical of him, particularly the Panathinaikos games, but I thought he just looked far more calm, far more composed. And Giga's a unit. Do you know what? He just gets it done. He just gets anything done that needs to be done. I thought they looked really, really promising together. When was the last time that we actually had a settled centre-back partnership? And I know that we're maybe needing another left-sided centre-back, but for me, I thought that looked really promising. Also, I don't know whether Russell Martin's that fussed for him, but I thought Jefty and Gassama as well linked up really, really nicely. The one that surprised me the most, and it's kind of got my head a wee bit, was how Dessers, how much better Dessers looked with two good wingers on either side of him as well. So that's given us a wee bit of food for thought in terms of whether he does stay and he does a job. And if you think about his numbers from last season, if he has two really good wingers on either side of him, he could do a lot more than he did for us last season as well.
Yeah, so the immediate one I thought of when we were talking about and what excited me was Aarons and Antman. And it was because of the range of Aarons passing that kind of took me by excitement, I suppose. If you can get that release down the right-hand side and then Gassama's tucking in to add that extra threat in the box, and I really like that. Suter and Giga, we spoke about that as well. Cameron overloading on the left. Spoke about that quite a lot, actually, Calvin, in the way that he maybe done what Raskin didn't in the eyes of the manager and was looking to do. So it'll be interesting, because if Tello Asgard comes in on that left-hand side, everybody just assumed it would be Raskin that would move over to the right. All of a sudden, Lyle Cameron's put himself right in there. And if we're talking about an unlikely hero, I suppose, to emerge from midweek, it is Lyle Cameron. And I think that's completely fair.
Yeah, I thought he was class. See just the way that he linked up the play, like his movement, he really got better in any tackle as well. Like I think that forgets, like his ball winning was very good the other night as well. He got himself in, recovered, tackled, covered space, made the runs in beyond as well. I just thought it was a really good performance. It was a real proper number 8 performance, getting control of the game, dominating possession, and making things happen. Like I think he was very good at getting the ball out to the wingers early, linking up with Yefty on the left-hand side. There was very few weaknesses to his game. I thought I was really surprised with how well he played.
Yeah, and Sheryl, would you agree that Lyle Cameron was probably the unlikely hero to come out the other night? He got such a warm reception, which I really appreciated. I think the fans appreciated that. And I say unlikely because we all go and we want Gassama we want Ant-Man, we look at, Dessers, we even look at, Big G at the back and what can we do. And Lyle Camden somewhat floats underneath the water somewhat and then pops up with what arguably for many was man of the match performance.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a Clement signing, wasn't he? So I think that, but obviously with all the changes that have come, he's completely gone under the radar as well. But just his work rate, nothing fancy, but he absolutely got stuck in, and I was delighted for him. I said when we were together live last week that I would have started him at Motherwell, and I hope that he starts tomorrow against Dundee, because I think he was excellent.
Yeah, and just on tomorrow, I'd like to see Rangers really go strong, Sheryl, at Dundee. They're going to sit in, they're going to be behind, which means we can pressure. I want them to be patient on the ball, because I thought at times against Pilsen we were good and we knocked it about quite well. There was that clip John Walker put on for the third goal, which sees them, they're about to move it forward, they go back, play it about a bit, go for and then come back, and then they realise and release the ball. I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to be in a position where we go and knock on Dundee's door early, go and pressure them, go and really get after them from word go. I expect they'll sit really deep. I expect we'll be really high up. I just want to see Rangers continue that. And I know that this is a work in progress. I know there's context around everything. But this is one that you would think there's a real opportunity domestically to really go and put your foot on Dundee's throat from the word go and show what we're all about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a huge test, and I know it's Dundee at home, but when you look at how things went last Saturday, and the enthusiasm that we've got from during the week, I think it's a huge test. I want to see a few goals, Stevie. I want to see us, like you say, really, really go at them. We know that they'll sit deep. We know that Russell Martin will know that as well. But again, just having the balance and the depth of the wingers as well, and their link-up play with Dessers, I'm hoping for maybe a 3-4-0 and get the job done early, a really strong first half. And then as the second half progresses, you can make those changes. You can maybe look at bringing Tav in. You can look at changing the midfield with an eye on next week as well. So no, like you, yeah, a really, really strong, impressive performance is what we're needing tomorrow. I think to bring back, there's still the wee bit of dubiety. We do perform well in Europe. We can produce it in Europe. We know that. But the league is where we fell short last season, and it really, really needs to change, and it needs to start with tomorrow after the way that we were last Saturday.
Calvin, vital we go and really hit home and build on midweek, but also start the domestic form. That run of games has to start happening in earnest tomorrow.
Yeah, it's our bread and butter. Like Europe's Europe. We always get our good run. That's where we get a lot of finances from. But this season, the priority and the only priority has to be going for that league title. Like, it's massive. We need to get one back on them. We need to use it for the Champions League push the following year. But it needs to be what Russell Martin starts doing, is winning titles, winning trophies. That's what this club's built on. We need to make it happen soon. And I think the investment that's went in, the recruitment's been very, very smart so far. Yes, we're being held onto some deadwood just now, but the makings of this team is starting to build up. We're seeing the changes. We're seeing the little patterns of play starting to work. Go lay a marker tomorrow, especially after dropping points the first game. We need to lay that marker at home and get those 3 points on the board.
Yeah, multiple man says, remember our last game against Dundee? That was a different Dundee. That was a Dundee that actually tried to play football and attacked a wee bit. I don't expect Dundee to come to Ibrox tomorrow and do anything but sit in. So we will see. Russell Martin also said, and again, he remains pretty steadfast on this one. We will be signing more players. More players will come in the coming weeks. Calvin, just stick with you just slightly. Again, he isn't hiding Rangers' intention to go back into the market. He made it clear, I don't think we'll see 5 or 6, but and he's smart, because he asked them, well, where do you want to strengthen and things? We will see in the coming weeks. That sounds like a guy that's very confident that Rangers are about to do more business.
Yeah, definitely. I think we know where there's still kind of plugs to be made, and I think we've all seen the squad depth chart that went out the other day. There's certain areas where we need to strengthen quite soon. Obviously, the likes, if you look at the left-hand side defence, Sutter's the only one really still there, and Ciala, but he's well out the picture. Yilmaz, we know he's been told he can go, so you're needing somebody that can either come in for the Yefty situation or provide cover for John Sutter at this stage. We need bodies in that side there. the striking options, I think it all depends on departures there, but I think we'd all want to see a fancy new number 9 is what we're all kind of looking for. I know there's a couple of names being linked, but there's one in particular where I'd be interested to talk about in a bit. But yeah, I think he knows there's bodies coming in. But as I said, I don't think we need to sell players, but I think just for sustainability throughout the rest of the window and knowing where we're going, there's players that we want to see out the door at the same time. But I think there's definitely some news coming soon for us.
And Sheryl, what did you make of Russell Martin's comments today on transfers?
Exciting. I think it's brilliant to be in this position. We know how tight things have been over the last few years. So to have made the changes that we've made, and as Calvin said, the recruitment has been pretty good so far. So to know that there's more of that, hopefully in the post, I think is really, really interesting and really exciting as well. The only thing that concerns me slightly is we've kind of slowed down, and I know they're doing their business very, very privately, but in terms of moving on some of the players that still need to go and that we know need to go, that's the only thing, like looking at your Matondos, etc. It's all gone quiet about them, but that tends to be the way that the club are doing their business at the moment. It would just be nice to maybe move a few of them on a wee bit quicker than we're doing at the moment. And like Calvin, a left back, a left centre back, and a striker as well, what I would be looking for. I would be interested, I hope you don't mind, Stevie, if I ask you guys a wee question on this, but your thoughts on a goalie. I know that John had put something on X earlier about the 23-year-old goalie. I don't know if you guys think that's as much of a priority given how Butland's form's been at the beginning of the season, and that we've still got Kelly as the backup as well.
You can go first, Stevie, if you want.
I was going to say, Calvin, you fire away, because we spoke a wee bit about the interest in Carol Hine on Wednesday and where we were with it. So, floor's yours, man.
As it stands now, like Butland seems to buckled up his ideas. You could tell his attitudes went there. He seems to have went away and had a really hard look at himself in pre-season. He's done work off it. I'm pretty sure he works with a psychologist side of things, because you could see he's got his wee things. Have you ever noticed thing he does with the straps on his gloves to help him reset? So every time he does something in the game, he'll do the straps on his gloves, and that means he's reset his mentality. So if we're going to get the best of Jack Butland, I'm happy. I remember when Jack Butland first signed for us, his passing and everything was phenomenal. And all of a sudden, it just kind of dipped. I don't know if it's just something the goalkeeping coach didn't work with him enough in training. But when he first came in, he was pinging passes left, right, finding bodies. And maybe it was just the style we were going. Everything just had to be wee short passes out for the back or lumped up the park. Now that he's working on it, you might see that best of Jack Butland coming back. And his shot stopping's been good. I know he had that one where it spilled out from him at Motherwell, but he still got made the save after it. As long as we're getting the best of Jack Butland, I don't see goalkeeper as a priority right now. And I think there's other areas in the squad that need to be done first. And as Carol Hine, I don't know too much about him. I've tried to look into a wee bit, but normally when they come for Arsenal, they are good at playing with the ball. So that'd be interesting. But for me, first and foremost, goalkeeper needs to save shots. And right now, he is making the saves. So, and I think an experienced goalkeeper at Rangers is massive, just for the demands that you have all the time. So I'm quite happy with Jack Butland as long as we're getting the best of Jack Butland.
Without Jack Butland, we don't beat Panathinaikos and we don't get a point at Fir Park. As desperate as that sounds, Jack Butland did save us in those games, especially the last minute at Motherwell. I think he pulled off that one blow down to his left just to keep us in with a point. I really would like Jack Butland to find the kind of form that he did before Gareth Southgate came up and put a big hex on him. We spoke about that over and over again in the summer. You would take that Jack Butland, no problem at all, wouldn't you? Just absolutely. The biggest issue is, how does Jack, if Jack makes a mistake, how does he bounce back? Because when he made a mistake last year, he had a year of form before he was able to kind of get rid of it. I would like to see another keeper brought in, but here's the biggest thing, and this is where I am with goalkeepers at this moment in time. Left back is priority for me, and the reason I say it is the difference that Jeffy made to that team on Tuesday was massive. Now, if the manager's talking about Jeffy not being ready or this, that, or whatever he feels in it, then I can understand why Jeffy played midweek for that balance. But if he's doing that and he's not really there where Russell Martin wants them to be, give me somebody that Russell Martin really wants in that left back and watch the difference he'll make to this team, or continue to make with this team that Jeffy has. So left back for me first. We need a left-sided central defender in with John Suter that's able to rotate, able to play from the start, whatever way you want to do it. So I'm with that's where I am with it. And then probably even before a goalie, I want to see a 9 come in. And this is where we go back to the old YouTube has bought me when it comes to Turjaman from Maccabi Tel Aviv. I think he's the one. There's talk this week. He doesn't really want to go to the MLS. He wants to stay with Rangers. Those are rumours, unconfirmed rumours at the moment. And we'll see in the coming weeks where Rangers are. He's prepared to wait, apparently, for Rangers. And then you look at Cyril, who played really well during the week. Our team's going to come in for him. Hamza Igaman is one that had lots of interest in. I would love to see us get a number 9. A nice new shiny number 9 that we can all look to. I think without any of the baggage and things like that would be quite nice. Left back, left centre back, striker, then a keeper. But I say that, and if Jack was to throw one in tomorrow, the narrative really quickly, Sheryl, becomes, why didn't we go and get a goalie? This was going to be a window that you needed to prioritise. I said a few weeks ago, we have to go and get wingers. They've got 3 of them. Now it's where the priorities lie. And I suppose it's probably different for us, potentially, than what Russell Martin thinks. So as he said, and he was very clever, we'll see in the coming weeks, but where would you think that would be in the team?
I don't know, because like you say, Stevie, it's all great just now when we look at Butland's performance against Panathinaikos. You're quite right. He kept us in those 2 matches, absolutely. But I think there's a wee bit, and it's a term that I hate, but I end up using it all the time around Rangers. There's a wee bit scar tissue around Jack Butland because we've seen how he kind of collapsed after those 5 or 6 massive mistakes last season, and there really was no coming back from him. Kelly took over as number 1. I know he came in towards the end of the season, but by then everything was done. So it's like you say, it's a really difficult one, because if we're sitting here next week talking about how he let a goal in against Dundee or he made a mistake in Europe during the week, then I think that changes things. But I do think there's bigger priorities. I think we need to, I know Martin said in his comments last weekend that the only person that there had been a bid for was Dessers. So what's the situation with Igaman? I know there was a lot of speculation around him going to France, but that's all cooled off. My priority, like yourself, would be a striker, a left back and a left-sided centre back as well. And leave the goalie situation just now. Trust in Jack. I'm going to be looking for his goalie gloves. I've never noticed that, Calvin. So I'm going to be looking out for that. Very interesting.
I've not noticed that either, Calvin. I must admit, I'm going to be keeping a peek on that tomorrow. But where are you with regards to in the priority list? Because we've asked this question quite a few times during the summer, but it changes, doesn't it? And just when I watched the team the other night and watched JFD and things like that, then for me, I was like, yeah, if we can get a left back in that he really likes, and that's not, I thought JFD was good the other night, but I don't think JFD can play 50 games in a season. So you need somebody else in there pushing him, and that allows him to flourish when he does get game time as well. So where are you with priorities and where you would want to go?
Yeah, I'm saying left back, and I think it's just because lefty is our only option pretty much there. And I've seen these defensive fragilities enough to know in certain games he can let down the side, but that could come with experience. And we know his biggest threats is his attacking kind of side of things. I was a bit disappointed, like somebody else said in the comments, but he's not getting on Beck. I thought he was the perfect man for that position. I also like James Penrice at Hearts before he went away over to Greece. That's the kind of player I'm looking for. Somebody that can do both sides of the games. They can offer is going forward, delivery, passing, energy, but they can still read the game well at the back and cover in when needed. From there, left side centre half, I think we just need that 4th option. We've got 3 there now. Get us that 4th option, so we've got enough to cover all the games that we're going to play. And then, as I said earlier, striker, I'd really like the look of Turgeon. Like, I've watched him, he reminds me purely of Luis Suarez. Like, just he can drift inside, he can go beyond, he's aggressive, he loves to wind people up, but his finishing is very, very good, and he scores all types of goals. He can have the typical number 9 poaching goals, he can score from outside the box, he can make it happen himself. I really like the look of that guy. That's my priority 3. If possible, being greedy, another winger. Like, I think if we've got Mikey Moore, we've got Ant-Man Gassama, I have a sneaky feeling Curtis could end up on loan because he really needs game time at his age. There's no point in him sitting as a number 4, number 5. At his age, he needs to go start playing football. So it would be nice to potentially have one more in there. and then we can look at goalkeeper there. Until there's a necessity for a goalkeeper, there's other areas in the park, and that's how I'd order it. Left back, left sided centre half, striker, winger, and then we can deal with goalkeeper after that if anything happened.
On Finlay Curtis, those of you who watch Wednesday, this will be kind of old news. We spoke about it. If Rangers go and get another winger, there could be a potential for Finlay Curtis to move on towards the end of the window. They may still move him on. If you look at maybe Cortez coming in, they might decide that they have enough, depending on what happens with Cortez between now and the end of the window as well. Finlay Curtis could find himself. He has been linked with Kilmarnock. I think that was spoken about. So we need to wait and see. I wouldn't be against that. The pitch kind of does me a wee bit with him going down to Rugby Park. I think him, Bailey Rice, potentially, there's moves in there to be made. With regards to other people in and around the club and interest, haven't heard anything with regards to that. You're still waiting on Ben Davies, Clinton Nsiala, Rabi Matondo, Jose Cifuentes, Ridvan Yilmaz. There's plenty of names in there that you could throw about, isn't there, for leaving? So we've got to just wait and see what happens. Of course, we've been like with Nobel Mendy as well. Albeit he's not really sure where that one is. Rangers Review have reported that the Rangers are interested, but it's not as far as is being reported, which has been the story of the summer, really. So we just need to wait and see what happens with that. It's been rumoured Rangers are close to a left back. Could it be the Monaco boy? We really, really just need to wait and see. But it's all steam ahead for tomorrow, I think. That is where we will leave it for this evening, folks. Really appreciate everyone that is tuned in. Absolutely unbelievable support. Thousands of people watching across all the platforms. Just to give you a wee bit of an update, we had our July stats in for last month, and over 250,000 people watching and listening. Put the stats up on the chat this morning for everybody to see them, and it's just unbelievable the support levels that we've got from YouTube to Spotify to Apple. It's absolutely incredible. So a huge thank you for everybody that is tuning in to watch us. 250,000, actually over that. I believe it's about 260,000 watching, listening in 1 month is absolutely incredible. So we really appreciate it, Cheryl. And just it's great for us to know that we're listening to at least.
Yeah, and do you know what as well? There's loads of people in the comments that engage with me, and I know they will with you guys on social media as well, and it's always really, really positive. So thank you for that side of things as well, because it's really nice to get that engagement as well, all around Rangers and the stuff that we're doing. And also a big shout out, I know you guys enjoyed it as well, but for the people that came along to the live pod last Friday as well, that was absolutely brilliant. Such a good experience, and really, really nice to put some names to the faces as well, or faces to the names, whatever, that came along and seen us last week. It was really, really positive. Thank you.
And Calvin, suppose just to echo what Cheryl was saying, really.
Yeah, definitely. It was always good to get the engagement. Neil Creelman in the comments, always big fan of the Calvin Nielsen loyal, and it was same again with the Walter Smith bar. Walter's Barnham, one of those nights, ain't it? Pure tongue twisted. The chats that we had outside, a wee bit of Q&A with some of the fans, obviously because we got held back a wee bit. The chat with them was great, and it's always good to know that people are liking what we're saying, and if they disagree, we're always happy to have a chat as well, which is good. There was some really good stuff going down last week, so thanks to everybody coming along, and thanks for everybody tuning in again tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a word on those that are YouTube members. There is so much content went out extra this week. We had first in favourites with podcast supporter and one of our regular day ones, Bluebells. He was on with David Herd. So if you are a member, please go and check that out. Also, Coach's Corner dropped today. Derek's second episode. First one was with Kevin Thompson. Today it's with Kevin Murphy, who is Arsenal's women's head of recruitment or recruitment officer down there. He's used to be with Rangers himself. He talks about his journey through coaching, what he expects from Rangers this season, and what he's expecting from Rangers' new women's manager, Leanne Crichton, as well. So that's really interesting listening. And the big interview dropped this week, a second in our season of the Rangers years with Mark Haitley, which was the feedback of Mark has been incredible. It was one of the most enjoyable interviews I've ever done. You walk away from some stuff and sometimes you're not sure. I walked away from that one and absolutely loved every single bit of it. So please, if you're a member, go and check that out. If you want to become a member and support the podcast, you can. It's on our YouTube page. You simply click to join. It is 99 pence a month. That's all it is. It helps support the podcast. It helps support us going to games and coverage and everything else. We'll be back tomorrow with the Matchday vlog. It is myself and Andy Stewart. There'll also be a link for the membership in the description as well when this goes live. Non-members also get ad-free pods as well to watch without any of the kind of YouTube stuff on it, which we're all kind of restricted to. So please go and have a look at that if you want to join up and support us. That would be lovely. A massive thanks to our sponsors, Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions, CSD Air Conditioning, all the team over there, and all 4 of our sponsors look after us wonderfully, and our partners, Black Rooster and Art of Gold. If you are a member, go and play the Black Rooster competition before tomorrow. Get your scoreline predictions in. That's in the member section also. So please do go and check that out. On behalf of Calvin, Sheryl, and myself, if you haven't subscribed, please like and follow us on YouTube. We're well over 9,000 now, 9,150 odd, I think, last time I looked. So the support, as I said, is incredible. But on behalf of all of us, have a great Friday night. Look forward to see you tomorrow at Ibrox. If you see us, please say hello. And have a great day. Hopefully Rangers get the right result. Good luck to the team and good luck to the manager as well. Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend. And Sunday show. Sorry, before we go, Sunday show, Sheryl. Yes, it's back. Isn't it?
Reunited. The OGs are reunited tomorrow on Sunday, and I have to say I'm actually going to miss it tomorrow because I'm away to Oasis at Murrayfield, and I think Scott is travelling back from his holidays tomorrow. So wish us luck because we're relying on Doogie. And his thoughts on the game. So I don't know, maybe free up a few hours on Sunday evening, folks, if you're going to join us, because it'll be Doogie's show and Scott and I will just be chipping in wherever possible. But no, I'm very much looking forward to being back with my OGs tomorrow.
I had so much to go through at the end of the show. I almost forgot. Check out that. We're back on Sunday night with Sunday show live with Scott, Sheryl, and Doogie. And then we'll be back on Monday night. Matchday vlog goes live tomorrow after kick-off as well. Myself and Andy Stewart covering that one. So please, everybody, this time definitely have a good weekend. Have a great Friday night. And we'll catch you all again soon. Take care.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you've enjoyed the show.